Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Em, and today we are going to be going over my quarter two review, which that's bananas. I had to go double check that quarter two was over because I feel like I just did this for quarter one, but here we are. I'm gonna try to do this short and sweet, not too much chatting. We'll see. We'll see how that goes, but let's just go ahead and dive right in. I did not put these titles or these book covers in any kind of order, so it's a little random, but that's okay. And I'm gonna scooch this way. There we go. So you can see it. All right, we're gonna start with my little, categories. I have Rewired My Brain, which is absolute favorite. Loved it so much. Loved is, just a little bit below Rewired My Brain. Liked, meh, and hurt my feelings because I didn't like it. And is there anything else I need to tell you? This is very much going to be based off of how I feel about the books now versus how I felt about them when I read them. Some of them may still align, like if you watched a vlog that had this book featured in it, but others it might be totally different just because time is going by so fast. So let's start with Witch Hat Atelier, and with Witch Hat Atelier I have two in here, so I'm gonna put both of them in loved because I am really loving this manga series. It's very sweet, it's very cozy, it's sometimes it's stressful, but at the end of the day I just love the relationships between all the characters and watching them connect with each other, oops, not there, and learn how to trust each other. It's just such a sweet manga series, and I'm almost caught up, and I'm going to be really sad when I am caught up. Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. This one I just liked. I've said this a couple of times, but I read My Heart is a Chainsaw and Don't Fear the Reaper back to back, and then I had a whole year before Angel of Indian Lake came out, and I think having that gap hurt my reading experience a little bit, so I would like to read the whole trilogy back to back so that I can really get all of that catharsis in book three. I also have such a faulty memory sometimes that having a year in between means I don't remember a whole lot of what happened, and I feel like with book three I would have been served better to be remembering what happened. But if we were doing the whole trilogy, that goes up into Rewired My Brain. Like, I love that trilogy so much. I just really didn't have the best experience with the Angel of Indian Lake, but I think that's, I think that's fixable. Speculations in Sin by Jennifer Ashley. This is the latest installment in a long-running cozy historical mystery series, and I just liked this one. I didn't really care for the mystery, and this part of the appeal of this series is that the whole cast of characters is so well done, and in this one we just didn't have that same camaraderie with all the characters, and I really missed it, and so it just didn't end up being a favorite. Vera Wong's Unsolicited Guide for Murders. I loved that book, and I was so surprised. This is a contemporary, I guess, cozy-ish mystery, and it was such a good time. I loved it so much. Audiobook was really good. Feastmakers. This is another one that I just liked when I was expecting to love it, and it was really disappointing. This is another third book in a YA contemporary fantasy trilogy, and again, same thing for Angel of Indian Lake. I think because I read the first two books so close together and then had a year before the third book came out, I just had forgotten so much of what had happened, and I think I would have had a more pleasant reading experience if I had read all three books closer together. But if we're doing this series as a whole, the whole series rewired my brain. I loved the series as a whole. Book three just wasn't my favorite. Goblin Emperor. This is a fantasy, and I liked this one. Honestly, the main character, Maya, made that book for me, but I also haven't thought about that book at all, and I can't even remember what rating I gave it, but I remember really liking Maya. And I think at the time I said I was going to read the rest of the series, but now I don't know. A Proposal They Can't Refuse. This is a contemporary romance, and I could put it in meh, I could put it in liked. Both kind of, you know, it's both. I guess I'm gonna put it in meh. But I didn't hate reading it. I had a pleasurable time reading it. I just didn't love it, I guess. Read This to Get Smarter. I liked. This is nonfiction, and it's kind of like a how-to book in how to think about different social justice movements and like educating yourself. It's a good primer if you know somebody who is just starting to be at a place where they want to learn about gender identity and racism and, you know, things that if you're on the internet I feel like you're all exposed to, or if you yourself are in a place where you feel like you're ready to start learning more in depth about social justice. And I think that's a really good primer. I think if you've been aware for a while, a lot of it's going to feel really repetitive, but I did like my reading experience. Girly Drinks I loved. That was such a fun book. That is also nonfiction, and it's about the history of women and alcohol throughout the world, and it was fascinating. I really loved it. I learned so much. Our Violet Ends by Chloe Gong. This one rewired my brain. I loved this duology so much. So much. It's a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in Shanghai, and it was just such a good time. I really loved it. Boy Crazy Stacy. This is an installment in the graphic novel adaptation of The Babysitter's Club. I read this purely for nostalgia reasons, and I liked it a lot. I didn't end up rating it just because I'm very much not the target audience, but I did like it. One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I really liked this one as well. This is gothic fantasy with a romance subplot. I gave it 4 stars. I still need to read book 2, which hopefully I'll be doing this month. We'll see. But I like that one. It was really fun. It also has a magic system that's based on tarot, and I love that in fantasy books. Oh, Mystery of the Locked Rooms. You know what? We're gonna say this one hurt my feelings. Well, it didn't hurt my feelings because I kind of knew I wasn't gonna like it, because Lindsay Curry, as an author, like, her books are just not, I'm not the right reader for them. I don't enjoy my time in them. So I kind of knew it was not going to be for me, but I was wanting to give her books one more chance, but I did not like it at all. But I'm also a target audience for it because it's a middle grade mystery, and that's fine. I don't need to like it, but I just, yeah, did not care for it. Bride, I ended up really liking as well. This was my first Ali Hazelwood, and it was my first kind of like step into the Omegaverse, but I had such a good time. It was so fun, and I really, really liked it. We Set the Dark on Fire. This is fantasy, YA fantasy. Yeah, I just liked this one as well. This is kind of, it's fine. Gonna be the common refrain. Yeah, it's fine. This is part of a duology, and it's that brand of YA horror that we had in the 20-teens, where it's a very patriarchal, borderline dystopian world where women aren't really allowed to do anything. You know, kind of, I don't want to say Handmaid's Tale-esque, but it, you know, it kind of veers closer to that than not. Ember in the Ashes, I think, is along those lines as well, and it's just not a subgenre of YA fantasy that I enjoy, so not the book's fault. I thought the writing's really good. I do really like this author. I've read books from her in the past and really enjoy her. I just, yeah, that's not a genre that works for me. Swordstone Table was meh. Man, did I read anything I liked in the first quarter? This is a collection of short stories based on King Arthur mythology, and I'm just not a short story girly. I keep trying. I really want to be. In my heart, I want to be a short story girly, but I am sadly not. That's just not who I am. Oh, this book. What is this book actually called? I can't, Vacuum of Space. This one hurt my feelings. This was so bad. This is the laziest sci-fi book I have ever read in my life. It's also got a murder mystery, and the murder mystery wasn't well done either. It was just all around, it was like a big disappointment. I did not like it. Rise and the Fall of Dinosaurs rewired my brain. I love this book. It was so good. If you are into dinosaurs at all, I highly recommend it. It's so well researched, so like the writing is so easy to read. It's almost conversational. You can really tell the author like really wants to share what he knows with you, and so he's trying to make it as accessible as possible to share what he knows with you. The Weight of Blood I loved. This is a YA horror. It's a Carrie retelling, and I just thought it was so good. It's got a podcast element that was excellent. Like, I highly recommend it on audiobook. The audio experience was a blast. Hawthorne Legacy, I'm going to put this in loved, because as a whole I'm really loving the series. Each book individually is I'm probably rating them all like a 4 or 4.25, and I'm having a really fun time with this series. It's kind of a Knives Out premise where you have this girl, Avery, who's inherited this fortune from this Texas billionaire who she's never met before, and one of the stipulations in his will is that she has to live in his house for a year with his family before she can inherit. And it's really fun, and there's some romance, and there's a lot of, it's a mystery with riddles and that type of mystery, not murder mystery. With the Fire on High, I really liked this one too. This is about a girl who is a teenage mother and is in her senior year of high school and is trying to figure out like what she wants to do with the rest of her life. Does she want to go to college? Does she want to go to culinary school? Like, what choices does she want to make while knowing that she is going to have to take care of her little girl and wanting to help take care / lift some of the burden off of her grandmother, who has raised her but now is also helping to raise her daughter. Elizabeth Webster, this was meh. This is a middle grade series that is about a girl who finds out that her family runs a law office for the undead, for the underworld, something like that. I remember really liking the courtroom scenes, but the rest of the book was not, I didn't care for it. The Only Good Indians, this one I did like. This is horror. It's by Stephen Graham Jones. It's rough. It is very violent, and I would not recommend it if violence against animals is a no-go for you, because there are some really gruesome, horrific animal deaths in this book. So it's pretty dark, but I didn't like it. I mean, I liked it. I didn't enjoy it, but I liked it, and I was curious to see what was going to happen. What Feast at Night? This is the sequel to What Moves the Dead. I thought this one was fine. It was fine. I like the characters. I didn't really care for the horror element as much. That didn't work for me with this one. Can't Spell Treason Without T. Again, this was meh. I didn't really care for this one. Look, in my defense, if you are going to write cozy horror, I really think, not cozy horror, if you are going to write cozy fantasy, I really don't think you can have your main characters' lives be in peril. I just feel like that is antithetical to the cozy situation. I don't know. You can talk to me about it in the comments if you agree or disagree, but that's kind of what I've decided on for my personal assignment, I guess. You can't have your main characters almost dying multiple times. I also felt like, while I liked that we had two people who'd been in a relationship for a while, and so you got to see what it's like to, you know, have upkeep in the relationship and take care of each other, I did feel like their fights started to get pretty repetitive and just following the same rhythm every single time, and so that got boring after a while. Oh, Studying Scarlet Women. That is changing my brain chemistry. This is one of my favorite series. This is a cozy historical mystery series with a gender swapped Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I didn't make it in time. And I love it. It's one of my favorites. I love it on audio. I'm currently rereading it and it's just bringing me so much joy. Oh, there's another Witch Hat Atelier, so I'm going to put you up with your friends. Alebrijes, I really liked. This is another middle grade it's dystopian sci-fi. It's a little bit heavier theme-wise, but I really liked everything that the author had to say. I did think it was a little slow to get going, but on the other hand, it was all information that you definitely needed for the story, so I'm not sure if I wish it was faster, or I don't know. I don't know what I would have liked her to do instead, but I did feel like it took a long time to get to what the back of the book said the synopsis was. Hooky, I thought was meh. This is a middle grade graphic novel series. My kids love it. So it is great for the intended audience. My twins love it. My oldest, she took it to school and it got passed around all of her friends. They all love it. So it works with its audience. I feel like it's a little long. And there's a lot of scenes in there that aren't necessary. They're just there to be cute, which is fine. I found the actual plot with the witches and the evil witches versus the good witches, I found that plot interesting, but there was just so much fluff in there as well. Cloud Cuckoo Land rewired my brain. That one was so good. I don't even know how to describe that book. I think the less you know about it, the better, but I loved it so much. It was so good. Dreadful was a surprise love. This is a farce fantasy. I love getting to say that word too. About a dark wizard who wakes up one day and has zero memory of anything that's happened up to that day. And so he sets about trying to solve the mystery of who he is and what he has done to lead him to where he is in this moment. Oh, Stardust's Thief was a big meh. This is a desert fantasy. I think it gets comped to City of Brass a lot, which is fair because there are a ton of comparisons, like maybe too many similarities. I really thought I was gonna love it, but the writing did not match up to my expectations. I didn't think the writing was very well done. I didn't think the characterization was very well done. So sadly, that was not one for me. God Killer, this is another one that rewired my brain, as well as, where is it, Sunbringer. These are both by Hannah Kaner. They're book 1 and 2 in a trilogy. I am very impatiently waiting for news about the third book. And this is a fantasy series. I don't know, y'all, I love this book so much. I love both of these books so much. I love these characters. I love this world. I love Hannah Kaner's writing. It's so good. The character work is stunning, and I love it. Clever Girl by Hannah McGregor. This is another book that rewired my brain. This is nonfiction, and it's about Jurassic Park and feminism and academic critique, and I just ate it up with a spoon. And it's not out yet. I think it comes out in August or September, and I definitely need to pre-order a copy because I just wanted to highlight the crap out of it the whole time I was reading it. City of Brass was a reread, but this is another book that I just absolutely love. This whole series rewired my brain. Shannon Chakraborty is one of my favorite authors of all time, and this is one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. I just absolutely love Nari and Ollie and Dara, and just, oh, my babies. They're so precious. Oh, Final Gambit is in the Hawthorne. I forget what the whole series is called, but it's book 4 in this series. It comes after Hawthorne Legacy, so I've kind of already talked about that. There, I loved. This is literary fiction. There's 12 perspectives. I was really nervous about it because I'd heard the content was really heavy, and while the themes and the content is heavy, it never felt overwhelmingly so. I think this is really well done, really well written. Highly recommend it if you're a literary fiction writer and you have not read it, which I feel like I am probably the last person on the planet to read There, but it was really, really good. The Dead Cattail Assassins. This is P. Djeli Clark's next book that comes out, I think, in August. And I really liked it. It's a novella. And as usual with his books, I really love his short form content. But his world building is so detailed that I always wish the books were a little bit longer, because I feel like he has so much in his head about what this world is like, and we just get like a teeny tiny snippet. But we're following Evine, who is a dead cattail assassin, and she goes to complete a mission, and it's just more complicated than it should be. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames. I really liked this one as well. This was light-hearted, fast-paced action-adventure fantasy. The idea is that these 5 mercenaries used to be in a band together, and they've since gone their separate ways, gotten married, settled down, had children, etc. And then one of them appears one night and needs to get the band back together to save his daughter. And so they do, but it's 20 years later, and they're all, you know, out of shape and would rather be at home in bed and instead have to go on this adventure. And but I thought it was really, really well done and really fun. Tropic of Serpents by Marie Brennan. This is book 2 in the memoirs by Isabella Trent. Is that her last name? But it's in that series. I loved it. I really liked the first book, and then I loved the second book even more, and I'm hoping that as the series goes on, I just keep liking the books more and more. Hurricane Lizards and Plastic Squid I liked. This is a non-fiction about climate change and how animals and plants are responding to climate change and what the butterfly effects may be about those responses. Magical Girl Retires I also liked. This is, oh gosh, how do I explain what this is? This is kind of like an ode to magical girls, think Sailor Moon, and do I remember anything about the plot? No. That has to do with superheroes. Girl superheroes. And I liked it. And it's different. And I don't think I've read very much that's like it. And it's short. So, yeah. Raw Dog Rewired by Brain Chemistry. Oh my gosh, I love that book so much. I was a menace while I was reading that book because I just wanted to read it aloud to everybody. Because I wanted everybody to have the same experience I was having. The Pairing by Casey McQuiston I thought was mad. I think this book was just too horny for me. This is about exes who accidentally book a European food and wine tour at the same time, and then decide to make a competition to see who can sleep with the most people while they're on the trip. And that's just too horny for my ace soul. And so I didn't like it. Ash Burning Stars Falls White I really like. This is book 2. It's a sequel to Song Like Silver, Flame Like Night. I really like that series. It's YA, fantasy, it's Chinese inspired. It's so fun. I really like it. How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying I loved. This is Django Wexler's newest book, and it also has a Dark Lord, except in this one, Davi is almost stuck in like a video game loop where she's supposed to be defeating the Dark Lord, but every time she dies, she resets to what is her save point and then has to start again. It's really funny. It's raunchy. It's a little bit vulgar, but it's also lighthearted, fast-paced. I had a really fun time with it. It Came from the Closet I also really liked. This is a book of essays about horror movies and how a particular horror movie relates to that author's experience as a trans and or gay person, and I just also loved it. Well, trans and or queer person. So it was really interesting. They spoil all the horror movies, but that was perfect for me because I'm never going to watch any of those movies. And I just realized that there are 2 covers that somehow I didn't get onto here. One of them is Stolen by the Wolves by Lix Robertson, which I loved, surprisingly enough. Was not expecting to love one of the werewolf books that I read. for that particular project, but I did really like that one. The other one is The Fake Mate, which I thought was meh. I really liked the first half, and then there was a thing that happened with their relationship halfway through, and then the rest of the book kind of fell apart for me. But yeah, so there you have it. Those are, I think, as far as I know, all the books that I read in the second quarter of the year. And you know, not my most favorite selection of books, sadly. Like the ones that rewired my brain and the ones I loved, I still really like, but you know, everything below is a little bit forgettable, unfortunately. But June was by far my best reading month of the year, and July is already shaping up to be maybe better. So I have high hopes that my quarter 3 review will be much more positive. That'll have way more things that I'm excited to talk about than not. So anyways, if you made it to this video, thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me. If you would like to leave an emoji to let me know that you're here, let's do a book stack. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Bye!